Hi, my name is Morgan and I am a current neuroscience graduate student, so I know quite a bit about the brain. Today I'm going to be reacting to the Elon Musk Neuralink update. To be completely honest, I don't know that much about Elon Musk. I don't know that much about Neuralink, so if I miss something or I missay something, I am so sorry. But from what I know about Elon Musk, he's sort of like portrayed as like this evil genius type, but I've also seen some reports that he's actually not that much of a genius, so it's more of like a persona and he's more of just like an evil billionaire. Also though, I don't want to attribute to anyone being evil because I think people are a little bit more complex than that. They usually have different motivations for different things. Who knows? Also, my cat Lucy has joined us in the background. So she will also be reviewing this and she knows a lot about the brain. So without further ado, we'll get on to the video. So the video that I'm going to be reacting to is from Newsthink. Just because I tried to like look up the actual update and it's just incredibly long, and with me inserting comments it's gonna be extra long, so I'm gonna link both of these videos, the one that I'm reacting to and his actual live stream update. That way you can see them for yourself, and I'll try to watch it later, and whenever I'm editing, if I say anything that like maybe needed more context, I'll try to put that in here.
Really excited to show you what we've got. I think it's gonna blow your mind. All of your senses.
I always like saying something like blow your mind whenever I'm talking about the brain, because obviously you would say something like that.
Your sight, hearing, feeling, pain. These are all electrical signals sent by neurons to your brain.
He's not wrong. There are people out there who, it's because there's something wrong with the signaling between their neurons and their brain. There's like a very specific type of paralysis that you can get that happens in like a spinal cord injury that could cause you to not feel pain anymore because it interrupts that connection there.
These can all be solved with an implantable Neurolink.
I am skeptical at best.
This is sort of what it looks like. This is our little device. It is that thing at the bottom is just to hold the threads in place, because there's.
I have a lot of feelings and a lot of emotions, but maybe he can do it. I don't know. I've seen a lot of people come up with ingenious ways to stop us from feeling pain. Maybe.
Like little fine wires. In a lot of ways, it's kind of like a fitbit in your skull with tiny wires.
Also, can we just address like the practicality of like, I've seen a lot of people making arguments online about like what would happen if you like, could he record data on us? Could he, I don't know what he would record, maybe like a 24/7 tracker. We kind of already have that with our phones, but you could leave your phone at home and this would be implanted in your brain. Also, on a side note, I saw something online where someone got a Tesla key implanted into their wrist. That way they can open their Tesla without having to like grab their key. So I think people who follow Elon Musk are willing to do some wild things with technology.
All you can see afterwards is this tiny scar, and if it's under your hair, you can't see it at all. In fact, I could have a Neuralink right now, and you wouldn't know. Maybe I do.
Is he admitting to being a robot?
So, and it's also got all the things that you would expect to see, the sensors you'd expect to see in a smartwatch or a phone. So there's actually a lot of functions that this device could do related to monitoring your health. And
I'm just gonna pause this so I can read what he's saying that it does. All-day battery life. How would you charge something that's in your skull? I don't know. I'm not that familiar with the technology side of things. I understand the brain and behavior, and that's more what I study. I don't work a lot with electronics, so struggling to fully understand this, but I have a lot of questions.
Warning you about a possible heart attack or stroke or other damage, as well as sort of convenience features like.
There are dogs who can sense a stroke coming. They're trained for it. And they are much cuter than this and much less likely to track your every movement and send out effect to Elon Musk.
Playing music. You do a lot. It's sort of like if your phone went at your brain or something.
I don't know this for a fact, but I think music would sound much different if it was implanted in your brain, because a lot of like sounds that we hear obviously are the vibrations in our ear. I can do a video on explaining hearing in the future, I will, because hearing is really complicated. But to break it down, it's just vibrations going into our ear. But there's things in your ear that adjust, like the frequency and the volume of the sound. That's why, like, if you go to a concert and everything's really loud and then the next day you're sort of struggling to hear things a little bit, it's because you've sort of messed with that volume level that's naturally in your ear. So if sound didn't have to go through your ear, I don't know how you would hear it, and I don't know if it would sound any different because it's not going through all those vibrations. But I'm not saying it's impossible. I just don't understand it.
Yeah, maybe that's not a great analogy. Anyway, so it's also inductively charged, so it's charged in the same way that you charge a smartwatch or a phone. And so you can use it all day, charge it at night, and have full functionality. So in terms,
just plug yourself in at night. I think this is what the people who made the Matrix were thinking of. Like, this is how the machines take over to begin with.
about a coin-sized piece of skull, then the robot inserts the electrodes, then
it's not even a person inserting the thing, which I understand. There's a lot of surgeries nowadays that are automated. There's actually some brain surgeries that are done by machines. But just the concept of a machine implanting another machine into you, it's a little too dystopian for me. But maybe there's someone out there who likes it.
device replaces the portion of skull that was removed, and we basically close that up with actually super glue, which is how a lot of wounds are closed.
That statement wasn't wrong. There are a lot of brain injuries or brain scars, I don't know, that are sealed with a type, it's not super glue, it's like a medical super glue. It's made safe to be used for these purposes. But I've used it before on rats and it's pretty safe. It doesn't really mess with them that much, and it sort of replaces that little bit of skull that's around it to make everything sit flush. It's not a bad way to close a wound. I was just concerned about the rest of it.
So this is our surgical robot, and we actually ultimately want this robot to do essentially the entire surgery.
It looks like one of the machines from WALL-E, and that's all I'm gonna say.
So in everything from incision, removing the skull, inserting the electrodes, placing the device, and then closing things up. So does it actually work?
That is the question, and that is the thing I'm concerned about.
What I'm excited to show you, I call it like the three little pigs demo. Well, I'll walk right over and show you.
I'm gonna put it out now, but I keep on seeing this meme everywhere about Elon Musk unveiling a pig, and it's a picture of him and someone's like, oh, it looks a lot like Elon Musk, and I think it's hilarious. That's all.
So what we have in pen number 1 is Joyce, and she does not have an implant. Obviously healthy and happy. So here's Dorothy, and in the case of Dorothy, Dorothy used to have an implant, and then we removed the implant. So this is a very important thing to demonstrate is reversibility. So if you have a Neuralink, and then you decide you don't want it, or you want to get an upgrade, and the Neuralink.
So that's a key word there, or if you want to get an upgrade, because that tells me that he's going to do sort of like what Apple does and just like come out every so often with a new update and sort of make their old update irrelevant. And so you're just going to be constantly having surgeries to implant something into your skull, which is not the best idea. Something also that he didn't mention, I sort of glossed over, is that whenever you open up the skull, your brain like immediately starts to swell, which in a controlled medical environment usually doesn't result in complications. But there is a high risk associated with brain surgery because your brain does everything. If your brain swells too much, they can't close it up and they just have to wait for the swelling to go down. So I don't like this. I do like the way that he set up his experiment though with the 3 different pigs. I haven't seen what the 3rd pig does yet. I'm assuming the 3rd pig still has the Neuralink in, and they but he's right, it is important to know what would happen if you got it removed, and it's good to know that nothing happened to this pig. But also, something that people don't tend to mention a lot in science is that animal models are good up to a point, and one of those things is like, I work with rats personally, and a rat, we don't do this on purpose, obviously, because this is detrimental to the rat, but if you really mess up on an experiment and you sort of hurt the rat's brain a little bit more than you mean to, they're usually pretty fine afterwards. Like, you can't tell anything's wrong with them. If they go in like maybe a social environment with another rat, probably another rat would be able to tell if something's wrong, but you just looking at them would think that they're a totally normal rat. So since you can't ask the pig any questions about its functions, like, it might look normal, but it may not feel normal, if that makes sense. That's also sort of anthropomorphizing the pig a lot. But these are just things that I know from research that I don't know whether he's considered or thought about. Hopefully he has a good team of scientists and they have thought about this. Also, the pigs are incredibly cute.
Link is removed. Is it removed in such a way that you are still healthy and happy afterwards? Man, Gertrude, are you serious? Okay. The beauty of live demos. This is real live demo.
I do appreciate that wherever they zoom out, everyone is wearing a mask. It'd be best if he was also wearing a mask, but he does seem to be staying pretty far away from everyone else. Please practice good social distancing and wear a mask.
All right, here we go. Great. Okay, great. This is a high energy pig. All right.
Oh, I thought my computer was breaking for a second, but I think that's part of the presentation.
Richard, thanks for coming out. So what the beeps you're hearing are real-time signals from the Neuralink.
Someone has probably already done this, but someone really needs to turn that into a song, because like, it's pretty catchy already, and they just have to add like some beats.
In Gertrude's head. So this Neuralink connects to neurons that are in her snout. So whenever she snuffles around and touches something with her snout, that sends out neural spikes, which are detected here. She's had the implant for 2 months.
I'm hurt by him calling them neural spikes, because that is just not what they are. Like, it's called an action potential, and I'll do a video on it in the future, but basically it's how electricity gets sent through a neuron. It sort of just makes like this wave shape. Neural spike means nothing, but I also understand why he did it, because wherever you're communicating with the general public, neural spike sounds a lot more accurate than action potential, and so he's wanting to get through to the general public. Also, like I said before, I don't know how much of a genius he is. Maybe his scientist just told him to say that and he did. Maybe he knows, I don't know. But Elon Musk, if you're watching this, which I know you're not, it's called an action potential.
So this is a healthy and happy pig with an implant that's 2 months old and working well. Yeah. And we're able to show that you can actually have multiple Neuralinks implanted, and again, healthy and happy and indistinguishable from a normal pig. And in terms of additional...
I like that they didn't show the pig's face, because one of the big issues, which I know is not technically an issue, is that if you're having multiple surgeries, that's gonna be scars on top of scars on top of scars. And like I said, that's not the worst thing. If you're a person with scars, I have scars too, it's fine, they're normal. It's what happens whenever your body's healing. But I don't know that I would choose to have a whole bunch of scars right on my skull, personally. Also, if you're a person who has hair and would like to keep their hair, every time you have surgery, they're gonna have to shave that area. And it's up to you. I mean, if you want to shave like just that little bit of area that they're doing the implant on, or if you want to shave your whole head. But if you're getting multiple implants, you're gonna have to do that multiple times. If you get the implant removed, you're gonna have to do that. Like I said, not the end of the world, but not great.
Brain reading activity, when we have...
See that giant scar there, that's just... Whew. And like you said, if you have hair, it'll cover it, but I don't know though, because if you have short hair, it won't, because your hair won't grow over it. So, something to think about.
Say, one of our pigs on a treadmill. Pig on a treadmill. It's funny concept, really.
I know he thinks that's funny because he's just like an average human being who doesn't see this very often, but like vets do this type of stuff a lot. So like there's a lot of vet places that have treadmills for animals to walk on. It's pretty cute. I recommend looking at hydrotherapy for cats and dogs because they're just adorable.
And we take the readings from the neurons. We're able, with a wireless neural implant, to actually predict the position of all of the limbs in the pig's body.
This is what I mean by this being sketchy, because on a pig, yeah, oh my god, that's so cool. But imagine as like a living, breathing human being, you're just walking down the street and Elon Musk can track every single body limb movement, not just your location. He can track what you're doing with your body. So that makes me uncomfortable. I'd also like to know some of the science behind this, because I know that he's just giving this presentation. Like, this is a media release, everyone saw it, non-neuroscientists saw it, but I'm curious where the electrodes are and what they're connected to, because not every part of your brain is involved in movement, and so depending on where it is, you would be able to measure different things. So you would either need multiple, or you would only get to measure specific things, I would think. Like I said, I don't know anything about this. This is the first thing that I'm seeing on it, aside from memes.
In terms of writing to the brain or stimulating neurons, so you can see them lighting up different brain regions, and then by carefully controlling the electric field, you can actually have one electrode influence possibly 1,000 or 10,000 neurons.
Okay, well, he answered my question, and I don't know. Like I said, like I don't know the science behind it, so I can't say for a fact that that's not how that works, but it feels wrong. And the way that he says influence multiple neurons, I don't want to read too far into his words, but all of this sounds very dystopian, and I don't like the world that we live in right now.
And we're making good progress towards clinical studies. I'm excited to announce that we received a breakthrough device designation from the FDA
so
in
that's
July,
something.
Thanks to the hard work of the...
I mean, something like this would have to be tested in humans, like before it can be safe for humans. I think that's interesting that they went from a pig to a human. I have a lot of questions about their experimental design, because something like this you would normally test out in
clinical
like
studies. I'm excited to announce that we received a breakthrough device designation from the FDA in July, thanks to the hard work of the
I don't know, dogs, maybe. I guess maybe pigs would be the next step, maybe. But I feel like also like maybe non-human primate trials would be necessary before a human trial, just because we don't know what effects this is going to have. Also, I have a lot of ethical questions. I think that's my bigger issue, is the ethical questions. I mean, he demonstrated that it works on the pigs. I don't know. It doesn't work like to the extent that he wants it to at this point. Like he's saying, like it's basically a fitbit at this point, and why have a fitbit surgically implanted into your brain when you can just wear one on your wrist?
Neuralink team, we'll make this as safe as possible. Just as with Tesla, while it is legally possible to ship a 1-star car, at Tesla the only cars we make are 5 stars in every category. So we actually maximize safety, and we'll take the same approach.
Hot take, but your brain is not a car. Like, I mean, 5-star cars, sure, if you break a car on its way to being shipped to someone, no one dies. But if you break someone's brain, like, I don't know, this can have so many possible like safety issues. But like I said, honestly, my bigger problem is the ethical issues. Like, yeah, I don't think it's safe. I don't think it's effective. I don't think it's safe. But even if it were, there's a lot of issues with implanting someone into their brain that could record things that are happening in their brain. Like, it's a little too much of an invasion of privacy. But also, if you sign up for it, I guess. But people don't read terms and conditions. I don't know. Lots of thoughts, lots of questions.
So we'll do live Q&A. So bring in a bunch of people from the Neuralink team.
Will you be able to save and replay memories in the future?
There's a really interesting Black Mirror episode on that, and it's terrifying. And I think that's part of the reason why I have so many ethical questions, because it's not, I don't know, like people think that they would want to remember everything, but if you do studies on people who have exceptional memories, they typically have a lot of depression, and because not only do you have to remember everything that's good, but you also have to remember everything that's bad. And maybe you do something that you like absolutely regret, and that's on video for the entire rest of your life, even if you didn't want it. Like, at least nowadays you can say like, well, they like pulled their phone out to video it, so like it's their fault. But like, if everything that you're doing constantly all the time is being recorded, lots of issues.
Yes, I think in the future you will be able to save and replay memories. I mean, this is obviously sounding increasingly like a Black Mirror episode.
You don't want to.
But
see, he knows. He knows what's up.
I guess they're pretty good at predicting. Over time, we could actually give somebody supervision.
I like that you brought up the Black Mirror episode and then didn't mention how this would be different or how it would be better. Like, just, yeah, it's like a Black Mirror episode.
Ultraviolet or infrared.
The end.
More see and radar, and actually have superhuman vision.
Can the Neuralink chip allow you to summon your Tesla telepathically?
So like I said, this isn't summoning it telepathically, but I did see a story about someone who got it surgically implanted into their wrist, like their key, and so they can, like, they don't have to carry keys around because the microchip that like opens the car is in their wrist. People who support Tesla, like, I get that it's interesting and that it's techie, but they have, I don't know what to call it. I don't think it's good.
Definitely, of course.
You heard it here first. That's a definite 100%. Carlos, that is the answer.
I can't see any issues with being able to summon your car telepathically. That does sound pretty cool. Maybe like if someone hijacks your car, could they also like do something with your brain? I don't know.
With the you can actually think, just by thinking, you can output words, and you can type, and you can control a computer, control a phone, and
so what he's saying here is very different from what he's showing. I get that he said like in time, but the amount of time, like I said, like different parts of your brain control different things, and there's some connection there, but not a whole lot. So like if you're trying to measure movement, that's gonna be one part of your brain. If you're trying to do language, that's gonna be one part. Vision is a different part. They're all kind of separate, and so you'd have to have a bunch of different implants to be able to do all of these things. And also, like, the ethical implications in this stuff, I don't know, because the way that he's saying it almost sounds like they would be able to record your thoughts, because like your inner voice. I don't like that. I don't.
Which is pretty wild.
Any estimate of how much it will cost at launch and what price it will reduce to over time?
Well, I think at launch it's probably going to be. I would say that's not really representative, because at first I think it's going to be, quite expensive, but that price will very rapidly drop. And
it would be like $1 bajillion. Like, I can't measure how much it would cost. It would only be like millionaires who get it in the beginning, and then maybe eventually we'll normalize it. Hopefully not. Yeah, hopefully not.
And I think over time, we want to get the cost obviously down as low as possible. But I think inclusive of the automated surgery, I think we want to get the price down to a few $1,000s. Thank you.
For a few $1,000s, you can let Elon Musk record all of your thoughts and behaviors.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for watching. I'm Cindy Palm. If you
Okay. That's just the outro for this video. So that was a journey. That was a journey of some sort. We went somewhere. I have a lot of new thoughts on Elon Musk. Like I said before, I don't really know much about him beyond like the whole Tesla thing. He shot a car up into space, which I have my own emotions on. But he seems a little bit like an evil genius. Like I said, I don't know, there's like conflicting reports on how much of a genius he actually is, but I think wherever people like envision an evil genius, that's what they picture, is someone who like references a Black Mirror episode and then doesn't explain how their invention is different from that, and how their invention like won't cause the downfall of society. There's a lot of like scientific questions that I have. I think I'm gonna go through and read some papers on it and see what the probability is that this can actually happen. Like I said, like you can't, monitoring movements is one thing. I still think it's insane how he was able to do that. I don't know the science behind it, so I can't fact check him and see if what he's doing is actually real, but I could see maybe being able to monitor movement, and then separately being able to monitor speech, and then separately from that being able to monitor emotions. Emotions are a little bit of a harder one. Hormone levels, maybe you could measure hormone levels and then interpret that in your own way, but measuring hormone levels doesn't always translate over to emotions. It depends on what hormones, how many, what combination of them. Emotions are complex, and I don't like that he brought them into it, because additionally, like, you don't want to control your emotions. Like, you want to control it in the sense of like, in society we can't just get really angry at someone and like scream at them at the top of our lungs. So control your emotions in that sense, but to be able to say, man, I don't want to get angry about anything at all today, and then maybe you go out and something awful happens to you, and like you need emotions, you just do. And especially people who are in charge of things, I think a lot of them have maybe less emotions than more of us do, and it leads to them treating people really horribly. So they're necessary in society, I believe. I don't know, I have a lot of thoughts on this whole Neuralink thing. Maybe I'll make a separate video on just my thoughts. Maybe I'll watch some more and give an update. We'll see. But I hope that this was somewhat informative. It was definitely interesting for me, and thank you for watching. Bye.